Welcome to, on the other hand, and welcome to another episode of Divisive Definitions, a series where we take a look at political terms that are vague or deceptive and decide what part is valid and what part is baggage. This video will be covering the term dog whistle. So what is a dog whistle? Webster sets it up as a secret message only some can hear. Here's a clip from a YouTube channel called Polidice, discussing his liberal take on dog whistles.
A dog whistle is a message that appeals to people's prejudices without saying anything overtly bigoted, thus getting the desired message across while maintaining plausible deniability. Dog whistles have been a key part of conservative politics since the 60s, but if they've been used so much for so long, and people are calling them out on it, then how does the tactic still work? It's not like the dog whistles are changing so fast and are so fundamentally unrecognizable that only an expert can spot them. If you know what dog whistles are, then unless it's a really quiet dog whistle, nobody should have any trouble saying it. Yet, even when they're blatantly obvious, they still somehow work. Why? Maybe it's because the average conservative is more accepting of racist messaging than they'd like to admit. But this explanation is oversimplified and a bit unfair. It's not wrong exactly, but it's definitely not the whole story. Another explanation is that
because you just don't get it.
Following politics with centrists can be like watching a raunchy comedy movie with children who don't get sexual innuendo. There's a whole hidden layer of meaning that they're not picking up.
like the first example, this isn't wrong, but it's also oversimplified and in this case is too generous.
So the accusation of dog whistling usually refers to political double talk, often racist in nature, and is most often applied to conservatives. I feel like there's a lot of variation on what people consider to be racist, which in turn relies on the definition of prejudice. The problem I see is when the label of prejudice isn't agreed on, people talk past each other, and interpret others' words in the worst possible light. Like this clip from Innuendo Studios.
Say, for the sake of argument, you're a liberal journalist in the year 2016 of the Common Era. Your beat is covering the Republican primaries. A lot of people are vying for the presidential nomination, and so it falls to you to attend and write up their debates. Part of your job is deciphering conservative euphemisms. When the subject of illegal immigration comes up, for instance, you'll have to explain to your audience that the idea of protecting American jobs from undocumented workers is Republican double talk for hating Mexicans. Now they're talking about the war on terror, so you somewhat warily prepare to contextualize another set of euphemisms. This is a subject almost always used to mask Islamophobia.
I feel like this is where bad things happen, when you start decoding what people are saying. On the one hand, you might be accurately getting at people's real intentions. But on the other hand, you also might be completely misinterpreting what they're saying and getting the worst messages out of it that no one intends. Much like what How It Should Have Ended did with Frozen.
Listen to me, Elsa. Your power will only grow. There is beauty in it, but also great danger. You must learn to control it. Fear will be your enemy.
So, you're saying we should lock her up alone in a castle until she's safe to be around?
What? That's not what I said. That's a terrible idea. No.
So, you're saying we should teach her to be scared of herself?
Are you even listening? I just said fear is her enemy.
So you're saying to teach her to bundle all her feelings up till she gets this freedom complex? And wait and see if she gets over this whole powers thing?
Oh, wow. You guys are bad parents. No, I'm not saying to do any of those things.
So, you're saying...
Stop saying so! Every time you say that, you say the wrong thing.
Just like how the parents got something completely different and bad out of what the troll said. I feel like that can be what happens when liberal journalists decipher conservative euphemisms. This isn't to say that there aren't some people who disguise racist things in double talk. But I would also say that some people read racism into everything they hear, much like this gem from a well-known feminist.
Everything is sexist, everything is racist, everything is homophobic, and you have to point it all out.
Which then gets memed like this.
Everything is racist. Everything is racist according to me.
So there are liberals who are very conscious of anything that could be considered racist because they're trying to make the world a better place. A problem of that concern is that conservatives can often feel to say,
Honi, soit, pense. Shame on he who thinks evil of it. It's a British expression. It's found on the British coat of arms, the British passport, and it's in French. What gives? First of all, I love the expression because I use it all the time in law. But how did a Middle French expression become something of an English expression? It goes back to British 14th century when King Edward III reigned over part of France. At that time, French was still spoken in the courtrooms in the aristocracy, but English was spoken among the peasants. One of the explanations of the origin of the expression is to the effect that King Edward was dancing with his first cousin, and people were saying, "Oh, that's so disgusting," and he then said, "Honi mal qui soit pense," shame on anyone who would think evil of something so innocent. And why do I love the expression so much? It is such a versatile expression. In its most simplest form, shame on anyone who would think evil of something so innocent, it is beautiful in its simplicity. Why would anyone see evil in something simple, beautiful, and innocent? And shame on anybody who would see evil in something beautiful, simple, and innocent. But there's another more complex psychological aspect to that expression, and it goes back to the concept of projection. I was involved in a file where opposing counsel accused me of something rather serious, and that was the first time I discovered the expression. I go talk to my father and I said, "Dad, this guy just accused me of something," and he said, "Honi mal qui soit pense." You would have to have those thoughts and intentions yourself in order to accuse someone else of having had those thoughts and intentions. When someone knows the thoughts that they have, they can oftentimes assume other people have those very same thoughts. And they may not even know that they're projecting that onto the other person. It's like the expression goes, the greatest curse of the liar is that they can never trust anybody else. Honi soit qui mal pense. Shame on he who would think evil of it.
I appreciate that Viva Frei said that saying so I didn't have to butcher it. So from a conservative's viewpoint, if they say something that isn't racist but are reported as being racist for using a specific phrase that racists use, it can easily seem like liberals are projecting racist intent into everything they hear. Then conservatives feel like they're in a witch hunt, where all racists are treated as conservatives and all conservatives are treated as racists, and the only end in sight is being burned at the stake.
We have found the witch, may we burn her?
Who do you know she is a witch?
She looks like one!
Yeah,
she looks like one!
Bring her forward.
I'm not a witch, I'm not a witch.
But you are dressed as one.
They dressed me up like this.
And
this isn't my nose, it's a false one.
Well?
Well, we did do the nose.
The nose?
And the hat. But she's a witch!
Did you dress her up like this?
No!
No!
Yes, a bit. She has got a wart.
What makes you think she's a witch?
Well, she turned me into a newt.
A newt?
I got better. Burn her anyway!
There are racists of all political persuasions. I just think if people stopped assuming bad intentions and dog whistles from others, less people would get burned at the stake, and we could have far more useful and meaningful dialogue in the realm of politics. As always, thanks, hope you enjoyed, and if you did, consider subscribing and hitting the bell so you'll get notified for new uploads.